honourable member for St. Paul's.
Mr. Speaker, it's unconscionable that the Conservative government is playing politics with the future of First Nations children. Last year, the government admitted there was a funding gap for First Nations K-12 students and promised $1.25 billion to help close that gap. His election budget claws back that promised money and then tries to portray woefully inadequate dollars as an increase. How can this government justify denying First Nations students the equality of opportunity they deserve? Where is the promised money for Aboriginal education?
Parliamentary Secretary, the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government believes that First Nations students deserve access to the same quality education as all other Canadian students. We've invested over $10 billion to support elementary and secondary education for approximately 120,000 First Nations students living on reserve and about $1.7 billion for 429 education infrastructure projects, including the construction of 36 new schools. Additionally, Economic Action Plan 2015 provides $200 million to improve First Nations education, and that builds on our investment of $500 million over 6 years for First Nations school infrastructure.
The honourable member for St. Paul's.
The Secretary needs to admit that these deplorable funding gaps for First Nations students are part of a much larger pattern. The Minister's own department confirmed billions of dollars of funding shortfalls for education, housing, water, and other basic needs on reserve like fire protection. This government's budget offers no new money to address these ongoing issues. At the same time, they're giving big tax breaks to rich people. Why is this government's priority to help those who need it least and ignore those who need it most?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs.
Well, thank you much, Mr. Speaker. And there is a disturbing pattern. Every time we invest in Aboriginal communities, the Liberal Party votes against it, Mr. Speaker. In this budget, we have additional funds for key initiatives aimed at First Nations well-being. And let's hear from a stakeholder. Roberta Jamieson, President and CEO of Inspire, says, "We thank the Government of Canada for its new commitment through Economic Action Plan 2015 to advancing education for Indigenous youth, the country's fastest-growing demographic. This funding will enable Inspire to help lift the financial burden faced by thousands of Indigenous students across the country as they strive to complete their education." We're getting the job done, Mr. Speaker.